So today we're recreating that memory with the scene of two rams battling it out in the snow. I'm using these plaster outcroppings along with some real rocks and stones, but first we need to nail down the layout. But to be honest, a quarter of the way through I realized the shape was looking a bit bland and not what I pictured at all. So even though it was a total mess and a massive pain, I decided to stop, pivot, and carve out even more foam. It's a good reminder that no matter how far along you are, you can always pivot and try something else if it's just not working. And I'm so glad I did that because now the plaster rocks look even way better than before. While that second layer of Sculptamold was still wet, I started layering some textures. Everything from gravel to fine sand. I added a bit of watered down Mod Podge just to be safe and then locked it all in with some isopropyl alcohol. And once that finally dried, it was time for the fun part, which is painting. I started with a brown base, but kept some of those grays peeking through so it didn't look flat. To really bring the boulders to life, I layered on some washes, starting with a green, then moving into yellows and reds for a weathered, earthy look. By the way, does anyone else feel a little ridiculous painting real rocks to look like, well, other rocks? Just me. And then to pull it all together and tone down some of the brightness, I gave everything a final pass with a darker wash. Anyway, next I broke out my homemade pigment powders. These are just old chalk pastels that I crushed up, and it's a super easy DIY, and I'll link the video where I made them below. But I brushed them across the terrain to achieve that realistic dusty texture. With the base layer set, it was then time to transition to greenery. To prevent the static grass from migrating into the riverbed, where the resin will go later, I taped that area off first. Since bighorn sheep primarily graze on sedges, grasses, and small shrubs, I'm layering in a variety of textures to keep the landscape looking authentic. I started by placing some tufts first, and it really helps the static grass blend in rather than just sitting on top. The mix I'm using is a custom blend from my local hobby shop, and it honestly pairs perfectly with these winter tufts. I also made these tiny custom tufts by just twisting some fibers together and dabbing the base with some super glue. I love how these look near the water's edge, so that's exactly where they're going. Oh, and I have this stuff. It's officially labeled as bramble, but honestly it kind of looks like a bundle of mossy branches or dead brush, so I'm tucking a bit of that by the stream too, just to add some extra character. And now that the greens are looking good, we can finally get ready for the resin. This brand has been really simple to use so far, apart from the occasional user error, so I'll be using this for this project too. While we wait for the resin to cure, we can start on the bighorn sheep. Even though these miniatures are super tiny, the real deal is actually massive. Bighorn sheep can weigh up to 300 pounds, and their horns alone can weigh 30 pounds. They're built for their rugged life, so stick in the cliffs and canyons for a quick escape. They have both a summer and a winter area, but spend a huge chunk of the year in the winter range. And while they're heading to the open to graze, they never stray too far from the safety of the rocks. The big battle starts with the rams sizing each other up, and if nobody backs down, they charge. They collide head first at about 20 miles an hour, and the crack is so loud you can hear it echoing across the valley. And you know, they'll just keep at it over and over until one of them finally gives up and retreats. It's just absolutely magnificent creatures, and honestly, seeing them in person was such a special experience. Once the herd was ready to move in, it was finally time to finish the river and bring on the snow. I'm actually trying something new here. I thought it would look perfect as broken ice in the river. And to sell the "it's freezing outside" look, I added some ice sparkles here and there for a bit of frosty shimmer. I didn't want this to look like a full-blown blizzard, but let's be real, Wyoming winters are pretty intense. You gotta have some snow present if you want it to feel authentic. So I experimented with a new tree method and I'm really into the results. The first part is the same of how I usually do it, so twisting twine and wire together, but instead of painting it and then using an adhesive, I just flocked it while the spray paint was still wet. It's way cleaner this way and actually preserves the shape of the tree so it doesn't get that blobby look. And then I wrapped it up by brushing on some white pigment and a bit of snow flocking. And with that, there's just a few final details to add. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If you enjoyed this build, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. It really helps the channel out, and I appreciate you guys being here.